And the thing with the Estonian gaming industry is that there's been some further developments in the past 2-3 years that we didn't see maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And across the sea in Finland, we have some powerhouses of game development. And it's totally possible that with this enthusiasm shared between us, we can both grow the local game development industry and, along with that, make ridiculous amounts of money for investors. And first of all, thank you for showing the interest towards the Estonian local game developers and coming here to listen today. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with what a video game looks like when it's released and people are playing it. But what about when it's being developed? In any case, I'm pretty sure that today will open a new and exciting world for you. And before I let the guys share their creative awesomeness, I also have prepared a little keynote. Can you raise your hand from the investors who was in Pärnu when I did the same thing? Okay, 3 of you. So just a quick reminder, and I'm going to do it faster this time. And why I've done it is just to show you some numbers of what the gaming industry is composed of and what's the potential in here. And yes, this works. That's not important anymore. So the size of the gaming industry, 2012, 70 billion, 2018, $138 billion, and by 2021 it's projected to grow to 180 billion. So platform distribution is still 51% mobile devices, 25% consoles, and 24% PC. And here we're talking about how the whole revenue is shared that's generated in the gaming industry. And what's interesting is that the fastest growing one from these 3 is the PC one. Geographical distribution in game revenue, Asia and Pacific is 52%, North America 23%, Europe, Middle East, Africa 21%, and South America is 4%. Now Estonian game development teams, there's 40 in Tallinn, 7 in Tartu, 2 in Rakvere, 1 in Pärnu, 1 in Viljandi, 1 in Keila, but maybe that has some more fresh numbers that...
a lot more, yeah.
Okay, so you can ask Alice later. Maybe there's like 5 more now. Team sizes. People, 50 plus people teams, it's 12%, 20 to 50 is 15%, 6 to 20 is 11%, and solo devs to up to 5 people teams is 62%. And the current method of funding, do you know this by heart? Is this still correct?
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, so 76% personal savings, and that just means, working somewhere and making a game. 13% grants, I don't know how they pulled that off, I've tried it 3 times, and 7% investors.
4% comes from...
I don't know.
Right now it's more closer to 80% personal saving grants that came from accelerators. Yeah, and investors, the numbers are a little bit up.
Yeah.
As well.
And there is an unknown 4%. So, why invest in Estonian game development? I think the most important reason here is to be the early generation of investors. Like, Estonia has always been good in IT, in different fields. We see that globally the gaming industry is growing. In third world countries right now, the accessibility for internet and proper hardware is growing so fast that we're going to have another billion gamers in like 5 years. Like, they need games as well. The potential of the pioneering talent pool, like the people that are in the Estonian gaming industry right now, with their first, second, or third project maybe, if you're going to be investing in their business right now, it's a long time investment. How many of you know the company Supercell? So it's a Finnish company, and they started, Ilkka Paananen is the founder, they started in 2010, and in 6 years they grew the company so much that most of it was sold at a valuation over 10 billion. And they sold like shares worth of around 8 billion USD. So 6 years. And their first game was not a success, far from it. Low valuations. Now this is a tricky one, because what I see in the gaming industry is that valuations grow super fast. Yet, if you're an investor that has a lot of experience with traditional startups and tech industry, then you're used to maybe even getting a seed round at a valuation of like $500,000 to $1 million. But what really spikes the valuations of a game development company is validation. The moment the game is validated by the community that people want to play it, is like 50 times bigger. So when you see the game that is pitched to you and you think that even if the valuation is 1 to 2 million, it's not that much. Estonians work hard, we all know that. And this last thing I added here because of a few of my personal mentors that are from Finland, but also other strategic relationships with the legendary Finnish game scene that are developing fast. And these are the teams today that are going to be pitching to you in that order. If you have any questions about the gaming industry in general or the terminology, I will be answering them after the teams have pitched. And what else is going to happen when we're done with this is that the teams have set up their games across different rooms here and down the hallway. So when the pitches are done, you can actually go and play the games. And I'll just let NoSoySauce Games take it from here.
I will manage to get out. Good luck.
When I planned it, I planned it like 3 minutes for the pitch and maximum 7 minutes for Q&A if it takes so long.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Vladimir Kus, I'm from NoSoySauce Games and we develop virtual reality games. Everybody knows that till now virtual reality market was not so very fastly growing, but fortunately for us this is going to change. And already in 5 years it's going to raise up your terms for 12 times, and this makes a new demand on new VR experiences and new VR games. So, and we want not only to use this opportunity, but also we want to fill a niche of sword fighting games with a really intuitive and unique battle mechanics. And right now there is not such kind of popular games on this market, and we are creating one. And our game called Everfight VR, and you can try it after the pitch in our demo corner in other room. And in Everfight VR, player can fight other's players, so it's multiplayer game, and you can fight each other with a unique sword fighting system across different arenas and different dimensions. And that's not the final list of our game features. Besides that, we want to offer players, because it's VR game, and to customize the rulebook. We want to sell them and earn in game a lot of different clothes types, skins of swords, and with the different social aspects of the game, they can show their clothes to each other, or show the customization mask or whatever they want to others, and even fight to them for these items. But to speak about the market and who to want to sell this game, is right now VR home users is around 4 million in the world, and around more than 500 arcade centers in the world. Our main priority is to license this game to arcade centers, but to final customers we want to also distribute this game through different platforms like Steam and PlayStation Store. Right now we cover 75% of the market because we cover 3 main platforms for VR technologies, and with a seed investment of 150K, and we can publish game to at least 13,000 players, which will generate return of investment already. And licensing to arcade centers and in-game shop will generate additional profit. But why we think that we are the main guys to do this task, why we want to fill this niche? We have a lot of experience with different VR and AR technologies, because we all come from Industrial Real Lab in Tallinn University of Technology, or TalTech. And we have different experience in project management, research, development of self-driving cars, and industrial VR applications. We have really great artists, and what is more important, we are also gamers. This is where we got from our inspiration to create these games, as we tried a lot of different ones in VR. We come from different countries, we have a different backgrounds, and we really believe that we can fill that niche of that game. Considering all our previous background, all our experience, and our knowledge, we really believe that investment to us is very smart and efficient. My name is Vladimir Kuts from NoSoySauce Games. Please visit our demo corner, and your questions are welcome. Thank you.
What is the current status?
Current status, we have beta. We are want to, Steam have different stages. Right now we want to release the early access in not later than January. So we have playable demo ready. We have customizable, we have already done characters, we have arenas, we have lobby rooms. So actually it's quite close to launch.
What's the early access price going to be?
There's three different options. One option is go fully to licensing and selling in-game shops and make game for free. Another option is to sell it for a premium price of 19.99 euros per one item in Steam.
So the player can choose or not?
We are considering these two options right now, but we consider this return of investment with a selling a premium game, so for 20 euro approximately for product. But our main priority is licensing to arcades, because it's a multiplayer game, we can play together, and it supports up to 20 players in one arena actually. So, yeah.
So what can you promise to the investors? What kind of growth?
We can generate, okay. In 1 year we calculated that we will generate return investment on an early access, but after a launch we had planned to generate 6,000 players per year approximately on a sell basis, because for the beginning with this beta what we have right now, but you want to enlarge this system, more with customization items, with more arenas, and we would like to actually a kind of a social room where they can meet, speak with each other and enter different arenas. But right now we aim, we have some agreements with arcade centers. We first aim for Estonian arcade centers for beta test, and then we want to grow larger. And we want to achieve all in year or two. In 2 years, we want to aim 300 arcade centers. At least the same. And we want to target.
How is the seed investment going to be used?
Mainly for marketing, but also devices around and outsourcing of marketing. Right now we are mainly engineers, we are project managers as well. We have some experience in that, but we are not so maybe deep in that where I worked as a sales manager a few years, but it's not enough right now for game. I mean, it's not enough me alone to do it, so we want to outsource also marketing and do online marketing and stuff. And otherwise we have all like our engineering house, so we don't aim on the full stack payments right now. We mainly want to use it for marketing and to deliver this and distribute and go to conferences. And as we use university devices right now, because I'm head of the lab, so we can use it. I would like to separate it to buy our own devices.
What do you mean licensing? We really don't know about gaming license.
Yes, licensing means for arcade centers. We have right now in Estonia 5, 6 already arcade centers. And licensing means that arcade centers pay monthly fee to use our game in their centers. Its fee is usually we checked is around 50-60 euro per game for one game, for one like setup. If they have like four VR sets, for example, in arcade centers, they pay this 4 fees for each. And another option is they pay for per minute to pay, and this payment is 6 cents per minute. So if somebody play our game in Arcade Center, and this calculates a minute time, and then it's 6 cents per minute is approximately.
So the arcade center is what exactly?
Arcade centers is where, for example, 8 computers, 8 HTC Vives, or 8 Oculus Rift, or 8 VR devices. People come and put these VR glasses and play a lot of games what they can play. They pay like for 15 minutes usually 20 euros right now, I believe. And this is like when you had these old machines, arcade machines before, but now it's exchanged to the VR glasses and VR setups. So it's just like a room like this. There are in the like 3 sets on each side. Person come, pay money, and he puts glasses and he pays.
80 euros for 1 hour of playing.
20.
For 1 hour.
80. Yes, it's quite expensive. Yes, that's true. But it's mostly used by teams.
Right now it's pretty popular.
But it's actually very lot used for birthday parties. And yeah, that's the main their income, I believe, because it's birthday parties. But for us, it's it really doesn't matter as much as per people like to play this game. If they pay monthly fee,
Then if you like 20 people can use one like play one game at the same time.
we have right now we have 1 player can fight against other player, what you see in demo corner. But there's going to be 2 players, where you with your friend will fight again against some 2 other players, or you can fight 8 person against other 8 person, or 10 against other 10 persons. There's
Not yet.
not yet, but it's actually all backend is done for that. We just didn't test it because we ran to focus 1-to-1. It works perfectly. We increase these numbers, but right now our networking system already allows to 20 people. Yes.
Okay, one last question if anyone has.
If I may.
Yeah.
So you said there's 6 these kinds of centers in Estonia at the moment. Okay, my question is big. How many are there those kind of centers that you're focusing on in Europe or in US, or like how big is the market that you're targeting?
Right now I can't separate it from that about Europe, US and Asia, but it's around 500, over than 500 arcade centers in the world. Each have various amount of VR devices, starting usually from 4. In Estonia there are 6. We have preliminary agreement with 1 to test game and sell after. It's I think the biggest they have in Tartu and in Tallinn, and to gather feedback for players to improve it in the game. But yes, its market's over than 500 here, arcade centers right now, according to statistics.
So Estonia has more than 1% of all arcade centers in the world.
It's
Fine.
Estonia is protecting. But right now there's a lot of home users also in Estonia who also have it. A lot of companies buy them just for fun. A lot of different.
I mean, I could imagine Japan only could have several thousand, like if Estonia has 5.
Actually, we have run now the biggest, I think, like Christina Keskus, this O'Leary. They have a lot of setups, but they have like I think they come from Japan. Actually, all the setup. So yeah, Japan have also.
Yeah. I'm looking at the publication right now, and it says that VR gaming industry earns 286.7 million last year. So that's a lot of headsets out there in the world, and as the industry matures, it's going to be even more and more and more.
That's true. Even in our lab, we have VR devices for 20,000, I think, from augmented reality.
Okay. I'm going to cut you off now.
Aye.
Thank you for the pitch. Well done. And you can ask extra questions in the demo corner after.
Yep.
Feel free to introduce yourself. Good luck. Thank you.
You put this
Hello, my name is Paul. I'm the CEO of Venomite Studios. to go, and I'm one of the 3 team members on our team. My background is I created a large-scale mobile game before this project, and in the university I met these 2 guys, Cardo and Martin. They stood out from all the other people because they were like genius programmers who could solve anything. So that's where our friendship started. And so yeah, we've been good friends ever since. And their background is about 2 or more years in software development. So yeah, about the project, can you start the video, please?
Okay.
The game is called Mechanical Difficulties, and what makes it special is the fact that it combines 2 very popular game genres. So where the idea came from is a few years ago I played Age of Empires with my girlfriend over LAN. And I created myself an army. I went to fight my girlfriend's base. She started screaming. I was laughing, and I started scrolling into the army and thought, oh, it would be so cool to be on the ground right there in the battle and influence the outcome. So that's where the idea came from. About a year ago, I started developing the game in a very public manner, and what separates us from all the rest of the studios who have tried a similar genre is the fact that we do it in a very friendly, goofy environment, where other people do it in a very war-like setup, very gory and serious. So we've been developing the game for a year now in a very public manner. We have update videos on YouTube and blog posts and stuff like that. After completing the prototype, we have gone to several events and gotten feedback from all the players and some publishers. Right now, we're looking for ways to fund the rest of the development, and we've split the development up into 2 sprints. For the first sprint, we'll need to raise 120,000 euros in exchange for 15% of the company's equity. This will give us a 9-month runway, at the end of which we will do a public release of the game's alpha to gather some user data, know what we're up against better, and plan the next sprint better. A total maximum of what we will need for the second sprint to fully complete and release the game would be 360,000 euros, so that's the next round that we're gonna have to raise. Now, the estimated revenue of this game's sales ranges from 1.6 million to 3.5 million euros. And the splitting strategy is the half of the revenue will go to the publisher and half of the revenue will stay in the firm. So from 800,000 to 1.7 million euros for each. That's my pitch. Welcome to questions.
What kind of feedback have you gotten so far from people that have played it?
So the feedback is, so at first we targeted the game towards around the age 15 to 22. And when we went to events, it turned out that the game actually clicked very well with children around the age 6 to 13. Even though the game mechanics are very quite difficult, they somehow really well learned how to do it, how to play the game in just like 20 seconds or so, and you just couldn't take them away from the booth. Just the past weekend, I was at Lithuania doing. I had a booth there as well in game conference, and some children around the age of 7 stood at the booth and played for over an hour, or maybe some even played 2 hours. There were kids who brought their fathers to play against them. So it's a multiplayer 1 versus 1 game. So people had a lot of fun playing against each other and teasing each other and sending armies of suicide bombers to explode in the enemy base and stuff like that. The positive has been, like the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive.
It's going to become more than 1v1.
Yes, yes. Right now in the prototype we only have 1 versus 1, but we also plan to do 2 versus 2 and 2 versus 2 versus 2, stuff like that. But we want to keep it small teams, small maps, very fast paced, so that the goofiness also and the fast paced gameplay also appeals to YouTubers and streamers and influencers overall.
I have a question. Who the hell is a publisher and why do they take half of your money?
So the publisher is a company that has connections to magazines like media, to influencers. They do all the marketing. They get you in contact with tough markets like get you to Asia, for example. They know how to get into that market precisely. So yeah, they have a lot of connections. They have experience behind, like usually very successful studios who have successful games themselves become publishers later because they know the area, they know they have connections, stuff like that.
I would also like to add that if you're making your when you're making your game, it's like basically there's 2 options. You can self-publish or you can publish through the publisher. Generally, unless you've made like 10, 20, 30, 40 games already in a row and published them, I would not recommend anyone self-publishing. So basically having a publisher gives the investors that extra kind of proof that, okay, if a publisher agrees to publish a game, that means it's a solid investment, because publishers will not touch anything that's not going to make money.
Mr. Sack, first a good suite and a good business model, but for this, I understood that 600% profit you will make, but can you detail about the levels, for example? Is there any additional stages, like for unlocking the box, like $3, like, because you're on Steam and
actually the game is not on Steam yet. The prototype is, because we've shared the development very publicly, it's available on our website. But to your main question, the model of, well, we plan to do a premium model, which means that we sell copies of the game to people who want to buy them, and also we want to do in-game purchases, which means that people can, if they want to speed up the unlocking of skins, like cosmetic visual stuff, they can waste real world money to get in-game currency to unlock that visual stuff faster. But to engage people and keep them in the game, we're planning to keep adding for about a year after the game's initial release. We want to add more content in the game, more levels, do some tournaments, do leaderboards, and add more skins that people can unlock. And yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen you at the conference you were mentioning, and that is absolutely correct. It's like there would be a lot of really young kids glued to it, and I'd be walking around, coming back a few hours later, it's like, oh my god, it's the same kid. Have you ever thought about making it, because your target audience, it's so, as you said, they're like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Have you ever thought about making the game completely free and then just monetizing it through in-app purchases?
I've thought about it, but we believe more in the premium model. We plan to target the younger audience more through also appealing to, like, having about 30-ish% of our audience to be younger, so that they can also bring the bring the game to a younger audience and make them like aware of it better.
And then how much is it going to be? How much is the finished game going to cost?
10 euros.
Did anyone commented on the name of the game that can create future problems?
Yes,
Because
there has been a lot of comments, both positive and negative.
can you give me one positive and one negative?
Well, people who are like naturally, their mother tongue is English. They look at this title and say, "Ha, I get it,"
Okay.
because it's a joke on technical difficulties, mechanical difficulties. Because the players are mechanics. They build themselves robots and machinery that fight on their side. But also, the negative difficulties is a negative word, so difficult, well,
Okay.
but it's mostly a joke played on technical difficulties.
Okay.
Basically, one last question if anyone has.
I've seen this game. When was the last time you showed it to me? Like 6 months ago, 8 months ago?
At GDD,
Yeah, probably.
at the Game Developers Conference,
Yeah.
yeah.
It looks a lot different. Like you guys have made it a lot better in like very short period of time. So you do have a good team that basically what we're looking at right now, it's not gonna be the finished product. It's like it's gonna be way
Well,
better.
it's getting towards it more, yeah. The thing about us is, I believe, like looking at the game development industry overall, is that a lot of people want to make games. They don't really know how to do business. They don't listen to other people. They think they're really smart, and like 99% of them just step in the same hole because of that. And we want to do the opposite. We want to listen to business advice. We want to listen to the community. That's what we've been doing. So yeah, we started a year ago in October, very publicly. Started at first writing blog posts, then started making videos. We gathered the community around the game as it grows, so that we can listen to all the feedback that people have, listen to what they would like to see in the game, and we really want to engage with the audience around the game at all times to be different in that way. And also, while developing the game, we want to do, after getting this first round of funding, we want to start doing weekly YouTube videos where we can get more personal with the players, the audience overall around the game, and make like a personal connection there.
Okay, short question.
Is this your everyday job, or if it's not, what do you do for everyday job?
It's my everyday job. It's been for a year, and because of that, my parents are already whining because I'm living off their salary. They're really like, "Come on, how long is it gonna take?" So yeah, that's why I'm here. To start paying myself and two other developers.
What about the team members? As well?
They work from their free time because they didn't get that lucky situation that I have, where my parents are willing to support me. They only do it from their free time, this project. Yeah.
How much do you intend to pay to yourself and other team members when you will raise, or if you will raise this money?
Well, I plan to pay 1,200 euros on hand, so that's after taxes, for my two developers. Now it depends. I'd like to say that I'd like to pay that same amount to myself, but going into this without a lot of experience, I'd like to pay myself a little less, because I know I can afford to live with a lower salary and keep that money in the company, maybe buy better video equipment for that, stuff like that. Just to be sure, I'd like to pay myself a little less.
Okay, that's it. The rest of the questions in the demo corner. Thank you. So, that was Venomite Studios. Next up is Limestone Games.
Two technical questions. Is it possible to actually give sound in the video? Because otherwise the experience is not
There are
full.
speakers somewhere in the room.
Yeah, people like sitting on them.
Yeah. I just the only problem is I don't know if I have keynote. But then we need to
turn
put your
there at least, because without it it's like you're gonna be feeling like 10% of the awesomeness and experience. So
Actually, let's put your computer.
Well, I have to be the slide
yeah.
guy for you.
Thank you kindly.
And
I'll repay you in beer.
Oh,
Yes.
it's
Just
good.
open
yes.
Apple TV and connect.
The second question is more tricky one. Is there a possibility to dim the lights?
Yeah, you can close one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the other one?
Because our game is quite interesting artistically.
But how do they get sound to wherever they're sitting?
I will put it. I can put it.
Right.
No.
Riktigt ka vai?
Go away.
It's
We can.
Feels like Apple presentation. You know?
Yeah.
People sitting waiting.
Yeah. We can start with the next one, and then yours is when we're
This is
ready.
just a small break to rest your head from all this
just
new
cover
industry
this.
stuff.
Can we make it long enough to have a cigarette if anyone else wants?
No.
No.
Aga nüüd preference ja sound.
I don't use a Mac every day, so. I'll just do the slide.
Cool.
No.
Click on the little speaker next to the Wi-Fi icon. I think you can get it.
Yeah, that's also yeah. Thank you. Nobody does anyway.
Take off the mute as well.
That's one.
Mechanical difficulties.
Yeah. It should have now.
Bye.
Bye. Why? That's the output. Why? Okay. Let's go back. So at least there will be sound here, just in case.
Okay.
Okay.
But then you with the stack.
This is the second slide. So can you put please on the first slide?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you kindly. So actually, somehow it feels like it's a more cozy approach because of something like this.
Oh,
Now you see the art. Yeah, let's make it more cozy, like investors, developers, supposed to be friends. So, hello to everyone. I'm really appreciated that you could come and hear us out. My name is Jarl. I represent Limestone Games. I'm running the company as CEO. I have the most awful of the jobs. I have to push really creative, crazy creative person for people for deadlines. So, kind of do feel sorry for me. So now to our game. Before we start, I want for you to focus on this art and to feel it. So our idea was that we want to make a game that feels like some anime that you weren't allowed to see when you were young. When you were small, you were walking and just through the glimpse of the TV you saw, oh, I want to see this one, and then your family, your parents said, no, not for you. It's way too creepy, way too cool, way too... So that was the approach. And the artistic style was aimed on this one. So next slide, please. So our company is called Limestone Games. We're based here in Tallinn, in Estonia. And our first project, and a really big one, called AN Must Die. Next slide. Our company consists currently of 12 full-time employees. All of the owners of the company are personally invested in the company. We are currently fully self-funded. If you are interested, and you're probably going to be interested, currently our burn rate is 30,000 euros per month. We are all professionals, meaning that we are trained people in our respective fields. For instance, our artist, he's a classically trained painter, an artist. So he's really skilled, he's well known in the world actually, he has his own exhibitions and so on. We are quite blessed with newcomers as well, because we have taken some trainees from our school of, what's called in English, School of Artistic Studies, and we are quite pleased with them. So this is a homegrown talent, and they are specifically tailored for our products right now. So we're as I said, we are really blessed with our employees. And all of us are really dedicated, meaning that all of the expenses that you see or the tax office sees are actually fake. Everybody works more hours, everybody works more passionately, everybody works in the evenings, in the mornings, and on weekends. So normal startup, normal indie company. And actively we started in 2017 on the 1st of July, when we kind of opened our office and started with our not full, but the majority of the team assembled. Next slide. So yeah, the game, now to the game. Stop with the company and go to the game. Our game is Aeon Must Die. Next slide. It's quite well received already. We've kind of hit a strike this year. It started with Estonia with Game Dev Days. We've managed to get three prizes out of 4, if I remember correctly. We are the best overall game, we are the best PC game, and we won the big indie pitch there as well. After that we went to Germany in Gamescom. We weren't participating in any competition, but we were meeting a lot of publishers, a lot of interesting people, and currently we're in talks with 16 publishers throughout the world and global companies. So we are assembling their offers on our product, what kind of publishing deals they are looking to offer us. So we're in a spot when we can choose, because the overall feedback of the game is mind-blowingly positive. There hasn't yet been any feedback in terms of you're kind of on the wrong business, you're doing something wrongly, you need to change that or that. Every single person who we talked with, be it business, gaming, or otherwise involved, they're all overly positive with us. So also just recently, like this weekend, we went to Vilnius and participated Game On, and unfortunately the only prize they could give to an unfinished project was like the most promising, so we won that. All of the other prizes were for the games that are already on sale, so it's kind of strange, but still we won it. Next slide. What are our unique selling propositions? So our game is all about you being a hero and a villain at the same time. You're sharing one body, you have to control single character, but at the same time you have to control 2 consciousness. So all of the game revolves and evolves about this particular sport. The second thing is that dialect choices. Based on dialect choices you have 5 different endings. And the dialect choices are also attributed to whichever mind constitution you are going to choose, meaning that if you want to be aggressive, you want to play the game aggressively, you want to kill everyone, then no problem, you'll see a different ending. It's not probably going to be the most interesting ending, but at the same time this gives us replayability. So overall we're expecting our game to be on average 25 to 30 hours of gameplay. Again, depending on the skill, because overall Aeon Must Die feels like games that require skill. Not everyone is going to get it, but that's our idea and our goal. It's like Dark Souls. When Dark Souls initially came, some people were screaming it's awfully hard, it's impossible to play, and somehow a year after, this is like the biggest hit of the decade in gaming industry. So the third thing is that our AI is really smart. Sometimes it's way too smart for us. The enemies adapt, and you have to stay creative. This means that since it's a fighting game, and you'll see the representation movie, since it's a fighting game, you have to have skill, but you can't use the same moves over and over again, because the next battle, AI is going to know that, you like to throw things, so we're going to block that, we're going to hit you with super attacks, we're going to mess with your mind, so every single battle is going to be different for you. Destroy, subdue, or befriend. Basically, those are the choices that you have with bosses in the game or otherwise meaningful characters. You always have the choice what to do. And we are not using any UI. This is our game. The idea came from the pure awesomeness of our artists and VFX designers, because we wanted to showcase that the game can be read. You can read the game, and it's easy to provide all the information without any UIs. And you won't see any bars, you won't see any numbers, just pure artistic awesomeness. And the last one, that it's a story-based death sanity system, meaning that this is not a fighting game, this is actually a book, and you have to read it, you are going to be attuned to the characters, you're going to feel sorry for the characters or not. We are really making it a deep game. Next slide. This is the movie supposed to be.
I wonder if I have to. Yes.
Available on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. We're aiming for all the major platforms. The game is next slide. The game is going to be, from what we've been speaking to publishers right now, they're suggesting that the game is going to be 25 to 30 euros retail price. We are expecting to sell around 350,000 units per platform. This is not our personal estimation. This is again the estimation that we're getting from the different publishers. Everything revolves about these numbers. The current fixed costs are around less than €1 million, I would say. The variable costs per unit are going to be around €16. The targeted profit is roughly 4 million, and we are reaching our break-even point at 80,000 units. Next slide. If you're interested in the maths and boring business stuff, we can speak separately, because we're kind of quite anal about our numbers, and meaning right now we're looking for an investment starting from $500,000. We are willing to share up to 25% of our company, depending on your offer. And with this kind of money, we are going to release full game in 14 months. With a retail price of 30 euros, we are going to hit break-even point of 82,000 units, which is just 23% of a reasonable forecast. And again, I remind you that this is only one platform, and we're aiming 4 of them. Next slide. So if you're interested, we are quite covered in the social media. You can easily find us there. I'm going to be here, plus you have your QA. Hope you enjoyed what you've seen, and go for the questions.
We have the demo.
Yes, and the demo is here as well.
The main question for me, like, about who the hell is Aeon and why he must die?
Aeon is the emperor. He's the guy that runs the empire. The empire has stagnated. And now everyone is kind of wanting him to be dead, but at the same time, every single character in the game has his own goals. It's a really deep lore. It's all internally written. Nothing is borrowed. A lot of inspiration and references to famous franchises and so on. Just like everybody loves Easter eggs, but it's all original. And Aeon is the armor that the main character is wearing. And this is one of the, not one, he's the villain of the pair. you are the hero, the nameless hero, or whatever you're going to call yourself, and the armor is always bickering with you because he has his own mind still attached to you. So there's like, you know, an old couple, you've lived together for 30, 60 years, and then you bicker all the time about different stuff, nagging each other, but you can't live without each other.
Does it mean that you can lose the control and
yes,
the
exactly.
end will start?
Yes, it's one of the endings. Every single time you die, some of your soul dies with you. You're losing some of your control, of the control of the soul. And then, for instance, when you reach a certain boss, and there you have to pick this moral choice. If you died enough times, you won't be able to make the moral choice. The game is going to make automatically the armor, the Aeonid himself, is going to make the choice that he's looking for. And he's the emperor. He wants to get revenge on everyone who backstabbed him. And at the same time, all of the empire wants him to be dead.
I have a question. Let's get back to the technical stuff,
Yeah,
right?
go.
Yeah. First of all, it's very surprising to see you here today because, like, I know this product really well, and it's actually the Limestone Studios. It's actually one of the top 3 like strongest studios we actually have. Not only yeah, like this is one of the strongest studios we have in Estonia at the moment. That's first of all. Secondly, I know that you have like extremely well trained artists. I've seen the pitch deck for the artists as well. That's wow. 3, you've I thought that you already would find it, like investors would already be throwing money at you. Like
there's still more contacts to have.
Okay.
We don't have anything against. Like it depends on, from the business point of view. It just depends on the cost of money that you're offering and the amount of cash outflow we can provide. That's it. We're always in the talks. We can always process more money because currently we're developing 2 side projects as well. Since part of our team is not fully occupied, and then we definitely don't want to lose the people from the company because the team is really good. We've been building it for almost 2 years already, so they're occupied with side projects. So if we can find additional finance and we are okay with the requirements,
because you've been promoting this game. They've been promoting this game like very low key, and even with that, it's like. I'd say you've been like super like hush about it, and and still there's like it's generating a lot of publicity. There's a lot of like the wars that you show. They're just the first ones of many more. And also, I would like to add that Limestone Games and this game is actually it's it's added to IGDA Estonia pitch deck as well. So this is one. When we go to international conferences, which we have to do at least 4 times a year, and those are big international events, and where we're talking to our strategic partners in Finland, in other countries, this game is actually there as well. So it's kind of like the its product from Estonia. So.
I have a question.
Yeah, go.
In economics, you showed you have a 14 euros variable cost. It's quite high.
No, it's not.
But what's included in the variable cost?
Taxes, platform taking their cut, publisher taking their cut. So it's more than half, yes. Engine is taking as well, it's negotiable, but for instance, Unreal Engine by default takes 5% of your sales after 40,000 income. Sales.
That wasn't talked about,
but they offer since they're quite in love with us, they like that we're using Unreal Engine and we're showing that you can make 2D animations, 2D artistic style with Unreal. They are willing to lessen this number. So right now I'm trying to stick with the black scenario. If everything goes according to plan, but we're not negotiating the numbers that we're looking for, we're going to see this variable costs.
But what was, you mentioned like a price range. What's actually your median or average sales price you are expecting?
25-30 euros. We would like to go higher because the product is there, but depends. For instance, initially all of the publishers are suggesting a discount. First week discount, first 1,000 sale discount and so on. So it's better to go with the 25. In the calculations, I've put it 25 euros as well.
Depends on the platform as well. PC games are cheaper on console, they can go up to 35 on Switch, for example.
As you can understand, probably if you're really good with finance and understanding the cash flow, it's all soft numbers more or less. It's approximations all the time, and the more we go into future, the more approximations there are. Plus, that involves some level of risks. Like there is 10% of risk.
Mm-hmm. Last two questions.
When do you plan to publish it? Maybe you had it, but I missed it.
No, I haven't spoken about it. We are looking to finish the game more or less by Q2 next year. But at the same time, this is the negotiations with the publishers, because a lot of publishers need to have half a year in advance in order to promote the game. Since we've received this feedback of, wow guys, you're so awesome, you actually managed to do this in only 1 year, we need to promote you like a AAA title. And because of this, we want to definitely know what kind of platforms you're going to hit in a year in advance. So the game is going to be finished, let's say next summer. But when it's going to go on sale, I'm not sure. Maybe even the year after. Maybe it's going to be... plus the question is in terms of what kind of budget are we talking about. If we're staying self-funded till the end, this means there's going to be less of the content because we have to cut out some stuff. If we're securing more funds or we are negotiating with the publisher that want to do it full-time, full-blown game that we envisioned initially, so then we're going on the full development budget, and then we'll need another year and a half to finish it.
So can I... unless it's like a super secret, who are your top 3 publishers are you negotiating with?
Yes. And they signed it secret.
Secret.
Yeah.
But what's like a bigger picture for an investor? Will you start to invest the profits to the next game, or will you do it like a project based and you will return the money, or you will try to exit to sell the game to somebody? How it's in the game field?
Again, it depends on the offer. As I said, we're quite flexible. We want to secure some financial freedom for our company to sustainable growth for the next 10 or 15 years. We like this business. We want to be in the business in the long term. We want to do side projects. We actually want to expand our team to 18 people, because right now we feel we need that extra 5-6 people. So in terms of buying IP, probably not. We want to finish it ourselves. The idea behind is that I'm the only business guy in the company. All of the others are like, no, let's make an awesome game, like money, who cares for money? Apart from the salary day, you know. So, yeah, sorry.
Very small question. You said you're burning 30K per month.
Yeah.
And this means that you have done some games already that are making the money, or is this the very first game?
No, we self-funded. Yeah.
Self-funded that you... Okay, second very short question. Who's the owners of the company?
There are 5 owners.
5 owners?
Yeah, 5 owners. 3 are... You can see it in the narrative list. 3 are involved with the company in terms of me, our creative director, he's sitting over there, and the technical director. So if everything goes to hell, we can finish the game, because we have the artistic style and the programming and business. Plus we have 2 companies who are providing the funds.
Okay. And this is your everyday job?
Yes, full-time.
Full-time.
Yes.
Right. Other questions in the demo?
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you kind of for your attention.
Next up is Lootbox. I guess you can sit as well.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Good luck.
Quick mic check to see how this works. Okay, perfect. So, hello everybody. My name is Oit Maidisasolet. You can call me Oit. And I will be presenting to you our pitch on behalf of Lootbox. Now, I'll be skipping over the first 5 slides because Martin already gave you a great overview of the market, so we don't have to repeat that. There's some really cool info here and some graphs. So I'll just jump right to it. So what is Lootbox? What do we do? Lootbox is comprised of 2 people, one being myself, the other being the other co-founder. We have experience in both AAA development and indie development. If you are not familiar with the term AAA, that means a lot of money. Usually it means a multi-million project that is expected to return 500% to 1,000% of the initial investment. An indie game is something that's like quite cheap, but that's not necessarily true. It depends on the scope, and there's a lot of variability in both of these development strategies. We are composed of one very technical person and one very financial person. I am the technical guy. I have been working in the games industry for more than 5 years by now, with some of the mainstay technologies that are available nowadays. That includes Unreal Engine and Unity Engine. We combine our skills in terms of technical expertise, financials, and game design to produce games, essentially. And leading up to the formation of the studio, we have already gathered quite a lot of contacts from within the industry, thanks to my personal involvement and also having close contact with a lot of people in the industry beforehand. And Lootbox itself was established as a studio, as a company, last year. And since then we have been slowly building up our reputation, building up some portfolio to see where we get. But one thing that we do lack is art and art expertise. As you could see from the previous presentation, having a really good artist or an art department will sell your game instantly. I could see it on everybody's face. So, where do we want to posture in the games industry? We do not want to think about competition that much, we want to think about cooperation. Because the one thing that actually makes games happen and makes games ship is cooperation, essentially. This can be between a publisher and a developer, it can be between multiple developers. Nowadays, it's more and more popular to have multiple studios who are not like inherently familiar with each other to work on a game. That includes outsourcing some stuff, like Paul mentioned, or I think with marketing, was it correct?
Not me.
No, not sorry. That was the first presentation, I think, yes. But anyway, the main point is that if you do not cooperate, you will have slimmer chances. You always want to be in the know, in the flow. So what do we want to offer to the gaming industry? Locally, we want to be part of the local industry, naturally. We want to share our expertise, share our knowledge, share our experiences, and what do we have to share is basically good insight into game development processes, production costs, production estimations, etc., and market insight, of course. We want to succeed by setting realistic projects that we can succeed at. We don't want to hit like super big. We don't want to have a AAA production of $100 million right away. We want to start slow and build up, essentially, and make it realistic so that we can actually keep our promises to all parties attached. So what will it take to get there? Essentially, I already mentioned this, we are lacking in art. We just need to have somebody who is dedicated in producing art for our games. We have multiple MVPs in production that are, we call them vertical slices. Vertical slice is basically a synonym for minimum viable product in the gaming industry, which is a tech demo. We have tech demos up the wazoo, but they all don't look that good. Let's just put it as that. And just to give a shorter introduction to both the co-founders, I have been involved in the industry for a long time now, starting as a hobbyist and moving to a professional development. I have been working under publishers such as Ubisoft and Calypso Media. I have had ties with Microsoft as well to have to develop a prototype for them. I have been involved in indie development. I have also been part of shipping a game with Lootbox. We have a mobile game that's published on the Google Play App Store. That was a pilot project. And going to my partner, Martin Schweigert, he has been involved in the finance sector for more than 10 years now, starting as an investment analyst, turning into an investment banker and a risk analyst. And he's also a terrific game designer. He has been designing games ever since he was young as a hobbyist and has now turned professional. We both have day jobs, technically day jobs. Lootbox is employed by Zaum Studio, which is producing Disco Elysium, where I'm working as a technical producer and Martin is working as a game designer respectively. So, back to the money. So essentially, what we want to do is build up our company in a stable manner. We have multiple MVPs in production already, as I mentioned before, and we want to start releasing them. We want to get them out the door, get them to earn money, and get them to, well, give us more resources to keep growing and get more projects kickstart, essentially. So what we are looking for is at least a 50,000 euro investment so that we can use the seed funding to actually finish one of our games, get it out there, and then see where it takes us. Of course, this is, well, we want to use the seed funding to actually get somewhere as well. We have some MVPs that are much more advanced than others, and we want to choose one of these, ship it, and release it with a reasonable price, get some revenue, and then continue releasing projects with a solid beat. So we want to release at least 1 or 2 projects every year so that we can keep on growing and grow our player base and also get some loyal customers on board. And that's it for the pitch. Thank you for your attention. Questions?
Yeah, first of all, your pitch took 7 minutes, so
Sorry,
you have 3 for questions.
Okay, so could you please tell us a little bit more about your previous experience? Because I know you worked for a really, really big studio. And what does that mean?
Yes, I worked under Ubisoft. That was the publisher, and it contracted a studio in Germany called Limbic Entertainment, and I went there to work as a programmer, turning into, I was handling a lot of the technical stuff there. That's where my tech background comes from, and I worked on Heroes of Might and Magic 7, its expansion pack, and also Tropico 6, which is due to be released next year, I believe.
So what's, for people who don't know, like Ubisoft, is it like a big studio?
Ubisoft is one of the biggest publishers in existence, essentially. They are one of the biggest producers of games. They have studios all over the world in every continent, except for the cold ones. And, or the cold one. And they are, yes, simply put, very, very large in terms of revenue, in terms of people employed, etc. Yes, please.
Sorry, I just don't get it. Why should investors invest in your company?
Investors,
sorry.
No, that's okay. It's an okay question. Investors are invited to invest in the company to build up a solid franchise, essentially. If you come to the demo corner later on, then we can show you our games. What we want to do is to establish a solid business plan, and essentially we have the technical expertise but are lacking in the art department. If we can fix this lack, then we are ready and able to ship games in a timely manner and also bring, our very profitable return of investment as well.
So and what is the, thank you. So why can't you fix this matter at the moment?
We can. The whole idea is that we can already fix this problem. We are in talks with several art producers already. We have had test runs. This would just enable us to work on more than one project at a time, essentially giving us freer hands to kickstart our game productions.
So you already are talking with some artists?
Yes. We have multiple options available both locally and abroad.
Okay, last question.
No takers?
Okay.
Okay.
Then thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the attention.
Okay, and last but not least, Sleepless Nights. The clicker is on the table.
Selle video said siin mingi pealt pärast panna või sa saad äkki talle saata?
Yeah, ma saan.
Alright, that's my co-founder and CTO. So, my name is Alar Vero and I'm from a small Estonian game dev company called Sleepless Nights. It's named like that because that's pretty much the only way to get things done. At the moment, we have 4 senior members in our team. We all have at least 5 years of professional experience in our field, be it programming, art, audio, And our CTO and lead artist actually teach their respective fields in local universities. We also have 4 junior members who have a bit less experience, a lot of motivation, and are very flexible on compensation. This graph was actually touched upon earlier a bit, but I'm going to elaborate. We plan on making our games in the augmented reality market. Today, there are about, or by the end of this year, there will be about 900 to 1 million augmented reality capable handheld devices in use in the world. By 2022, this is expected to rise to 3.5 billion because every new iPad, iPhone, Android phone supports augmented reality. The global revenue that was touched upon, at the moment, it's about 3 billion, and more than half of it is in industrial grade augmented reality solutions. Augmented reality games make up for less than 500 million. Today, there are about 700 new games come to market every day. There are less than 100 augmented reality games in the market total. Less than 10 of them have any kind of playable multiplayer. The market is really small today. It will be huge in the next 5 years, and at the moment the market is empty. We want to fill that spot. Our first game is called Acid Wolf. It's a quick game, it's arcade style. You can do a couple of minutes of rounds. You can put the playing field on this table, in this room, or still play in your mobile phone. It's purely a player versus player game. The only versus AI things are tutorials, and that's the main selling point. Today there are no games like that on the augmented reality market that I can take off my phone, play a quick game, then close it, and that's it. People will like it because the augmented reality platform itself is new, it's interesting, and for a casual player our main gameplay loop will consist of one button. You press the button, things go boom, it looks flashy on the floor, and it looks nice. For more competitive players, there are a lot of different strategic avenues to take. You can do offensive, defensive combos, you can use different weapons, you can try a whole different play style and not even try to kill your opponent or go for victory points. We plan to release the game. First release will be early release on Steam, and the next one will be iOS. The reason why we're going augmented reality on iOS next is because if you make an augmented reality game today on that platform, you get tens, if not hundreds of thousands of euros worth of free publicity, because Apple is seriously pushing augmented reality at the moment, at least for your general consumer. After we've gotten a couple of million downloads, hopefully on iOS, then we will start approaching publishers because we feel that we have a better position then to talk to them. Our main target audience, well, generally it's just 15 to 20-year-old gamers who like competitive games and blowing stuff up, but there are also a second layer of people who just love exploring the things that you can do with technology on the market today. Our business model will be opt-in video advertising. At the moment, it's the only kind of advertising gaming where players actually say, we want to use that. When Angry Birds took their opt-in video out, players said, please give it back, we want to earn some extra in-game cash. For the players who don't want to watch the videos, they can just pay a small fee and play the game without them. Or still earn extra money on top of that with those videos. Our goal for first year after release would be to get up to 300,000 active users. And we are aiming for 5 cents of income per user per month. At the moment, we are looking for 125,000 euros. That will go mostly on salaries and a couple of devices we still haven't bought yet. And we will finish the game Acid Wolf with it. And we will also start working on our next games that will use the same business model and will take place in the same universe. We aim to be self-sufficient by the end of first year, and we will expect to give you all of your money back that you invested as profit by the end of third year. Future games. Like I said, our next game would be a League of Legends style MOBA game. Difference being that you can play it on a tabletop, or you can scale the map across the whole room and just run around it with your phone and play it against another person. And we're also planning to build an augmented reality strategy game that has several concurrent timelines that give you expected results, and you can go back in time, change something, and the PC will generate a new world for you, what would have happened if you had made that choice back then.
just quickly
Yes.
give an explanation about it. What I meant to do with the game was, if you go back to the past, then whatever action you take in that past will be automatically propagated into the future using machine learning and AI to predict, based on your previous actions, of how the outcome of the entire battle would be. That's the technical bit behind it.
Future plans in terms of team, continue training on junior members, build the future. I hope they will be very motivated someday. And we will also plan to hire 5 to 8 additional senior members to work on our next game. At the moment, we don't plan to get much bigger than that, at least as long as we're staying in Estonia. Yeah, and that's the last slide. By the end of third year, we expect to have 2 games released, and we hope to get at least 200,000 euros of monthly ad revenue from these opt-in video advertisements. And that's it from me. My name is Alvaro, and thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, and we have one. And that part got finished today morning. Any questions? I think you raised your hand first.
AR does involve the mobile device camera being switched on, if I get it right?
Yes.
Always. How long would average smartphone battery last in this mode?
Usually it's something up to 8 hours, but since we consider the gameplay to be about 5 minutes, for an iPhone, I'm an active Pokemon Go player, so I know how fast the battery dies with an AR camera.
Yes,
but since we count the rounds to be up to 5 minutes maximum, it will be probably enough. So it won't be an issue.
Okay. You have a question?
So we need anything else than a phone?
No. Nowadays, since most of the upgrades are on the software side, I think every iPhone starting from iPhone 6s already is augmented reality capable, and every new Android that comes out starting from 8.0 is also augmented reality capable. So these 900 million devices in use are all mobile phones or tablets.
You said you need 125k and
Yes.
then you'll give the money back to the investors, right? So with interest, do you already have an idea of how much interest that's going to be?
No, not at the moment.
Basically, how good of a deal they're going to offer us. We are currently self-funded by my second general purpose IT company, and we would really like to also offer the investors a possibility to help fund us in order for us to be able to focus more time on game development instead of the regular IT field development.
Any other questions?
Maybe a very overall question. Who is usually investor to a game development studio? Like what profile? Is it a huge gamer? Is it a just rich guy who doesn't know what to do with money? Is it an angel investor?
The kind of investor that we're looking for ideally is a gamer and technology enthusiast, him or herself. and that would be, well, nicely called smart money. But since we haven't had any investors invest in us yet, I can't really give you a general idea. Maybe Martin can answer that one more specifically. What kind of investors invest in games?
Different. Actually, what I've seen through consulting game development companies outside of Estonia, then investors usually invest in the founder and in the team. There are rarely investors that have been so interested in the gaming industry for a long time that they can fully validate the business. So they just need to believe in the founder and the team.
Any other questions? Well,
who's your biggest competitor at the moment, if any?
Yes, when the non-augmented reality version of our game is competitive with any short arcade game on the market. But on the augmented reality market, there's Pokemon Go, but it's a different kind of game, but we share the same market. iOS also has a really nice game called Machine, or was it Machines? That's a bit similar to our next game, but in general, I can't really point to the company today and say that that's our competitor.
Because there's not many.
There are none, almost.
Yeah, because that's a new niche and you want to occupy it.
As an explanation, one of the reasons why there are so few is that augmented reality has been a widely available platform for small developers like ourselves for about a year now.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about this augmented reality required extra devices and so on. But starting with the release of AR Kit from Apple and AR Core from Google, it's now available for everyone.
But why Nintendo didn't go lead this industry after the success of Pokemon Go?
I don't know why.
Actually, Pokemon Go was not funded by Nintendo, it was by Niantic, the company who just agreed with Nintendo to use the Pokemon Go IP under. I'm not 100% sure on the facts, but they just asked Nintendo to use the IP because before Pokemon Go there was a slightly similar AR game to Pokemon Go, except it was set in a cyberpunk universe, and that's where they got all of their geographical data from for Pokemon Go. So
also the company building that built Pokemon Go is actually very active in the augmented reality industry itself. At the moment they have one of the best technologies for occlusion detection in augmented reality to understand which objects are behind something or in front of them. They're one of the leaders in that area.
Check out Immersal as well from Finland. If you heard of them.
are they the guys that offer in-game advertising for AR and VR platforms?
Might be they're doing stuff like that, but they are pretty well connected to it. You follow them.
Alright.
Last question. So what is the expected lifetime of a game like that?
Like that, I would expect 2 or 3 years at most. By that time, if it's still successful, it's not the same game anymore because we would have to change it so much by that point. But for a game like Acid Wolf, that's a quick arcade-style game, I wouldn't expect it to be very successful after like 3 years. By that time, we have another games out already. I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, one more applause for all the teams.